Territories reopen religious places, malls, restaurants, hotels and offices. As per guidelines of the central government, devotees offer prayers at various religious places in the country. Delhi borders also open. On the second day of BJP's nationwide virtual rallies, Union Home Minister Amit Shah to address people of Odisha and apprise them of the achievements of the Narendra Modi government in its first year of the second term. Maharashtra Jan Samvad rally to be addressed by the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh. Government's game-changer scheme, direct benefit transfer, is set a new record of total transparency since 2014. Over 11 lakh crore rupees has been sent directly to bank accounts of common people. About 1.75 lakh crore rupees saved till January 2020 by DBT. Major success for security forces. 9 Hizbul Mujahideen terrorists, including 3 commanders, killed in the last 24 hours in Shopian district of Jammu and Kashmir. Active cases of COVID-19 rise in India to 1,25,381, 1,24,094 people cured and discharged, 7,135 fatalities. Over 70 lakh people worldwide infected by the coronavirus. The deaths surpass 4 lakhs. The US tops the list with over 19 lakh people infected. Brazil comes in at number 2 with over 6,91,000 patients. Namaskar and welcome. Thank you for joining us here on DD News. I'm Mark Lynn. Let's begin with our top story. The first phase of easing of the countrywide lockdown has come into effect from today as several states are witnessing the reopening of places of worship like temples, mosques, churches and gurdwaras. Apart from shopping malls and restaurants, now guidelines have been issued by the Home Ministry and the Health Ministry, and these are being strictly adhered to. In the places of worship, religious worship, special focus has been given on sanitization within the campus with strict compliance of physical distancing norms to ensure safety and well-being of devotees. It has been suggested not to distribute prasad or holy water. It has also been made mandatory to take off sandals and shoes before entering the premises of the religious places. States like Goa have not opened their places of worship as yet. For some more time, they are going to stay that way. Meanwhile, Rajasthan has left this decision of opening places of worship to a committee headed by the district collector. In Kerala, places of worship are set to reopen from tomorrow, but major mosques across the state have decided not to open their gates to worshippers for the time being. Meanwhile, the Union Minister for Culture and Tourism has approved the opening of 820 centrally protected monuments under the Archaeological Survey of India, which have places of worship from today. The ministry also said that all the protocols issued by the MHA and the Health Ministry will be followed in these monuments. Under Phase 1 of Unlock India, shopping malls and restaurants have reopened today. The central government has advised people to follow social distancing norms, while with mandatory face masks for gaining entrance to these places. Now, the malls must have hand sanitizer dispensers and thermal screening provisions at their entrance. The centre has suggested the use of Arogya Setu app and has stressed on extra precautions for senior citizens and pregnant women who are visiting these places. In restaurants, not more than 50% of the seating capacity is going to be permitted. At food courts and restaurants, the guidelines say instead of dine-ins, the SOPs call for takeaways to be encouraged. Thermal screening is mandatory for home delivery staff, while in hotels for guests, it is necessary to give details of travel history and fill a self-declaration form while signing in at hotels. Sanitizing luggage is essential. However, social, political, sports, entertainment and other large congregations will also not be allowed as of now. International air travel of passengers except as permitted by the Ministry of Home Affairs will not be allowed. And also cinema halls, gymnasiums, swimming pools, entertainment parks, theatres, Bars and auditoriums, assembly halls and similar places all will remain shut. Schools, colleges, educational training institutions, coaching institutions, these too will remain closed. Meghna is joining us from the capital. Meghna, so the malls are opened. What kind of attendance are you seeing? In fact, we are not able to contact Meghna, but
malls have opened for business today.
Yes, we are with Meghna. Meghna, can you hear me? Yes, go ahead, Meghna. So what kind of attendance are we seeing?
So, Mark, as we know that absolutely, Mark, the attendance is quite sparse. There are not a number of people who are actually coming to the mall today. So there are a very few number of people who have flocked inside and are walking into the mall. I'll just quickly take you to have a glimpse of what are the procedures followed. I'm right outside one mall here in Delhi, and I'll just take you quickly to all the procedures which are being followed. So to ensure the precautionary measures of safety which is being followed. These are the cubicles and barriers which have been made, and here it's written you have to show your Arogya Setu app in your registered mobile number. So once a person shows his Arogya Setu status, then only he is allowed inside the mall. This is a cubicle which has been made to sanitize the hands, and this is the entrance from where the person is going to enter. And obviously after entering inside the mall, there is a place where thermal scanning is being ensured. So a staff from the mall who is trained for thermal scanning is here to do the thermal scanning. And I'll also quickly, speak to the management person of the mall here. आप बताइए क्या क्या तैयारियां की हैं आपने ताकि यहाँ पे जो लोगों की आवाजाही है उसको रेगुलेट कर सके और सेफ्टी के साथ कर सके.
So today as a mall open, so all people is gathering, so not all gathering, but few gathering. So many government managements, so all staff, so many sanitizer first of you foot and then coming and then Setu app, and then sanitizer and yes, and thermal scanning. So after the mall visiting for you.
Mark, as we know, there are a number of entrances to every mall. Generally, there are more than 2 or 3 entrances to every mall. So this mall also has more than 2-3 entrances, but only one entrance is working. The parking has been shut so that there is, no hoarding of people. Not too much people can come inside the mall at a time, and so all these things are being ensured. Also, the staff was called early today. So as we can see in a number of stores, the staff is also wearing masks, and there are a less number of people who have been called on duty for today because there are people who have been asked to stay at home. Also, the people with high risks are are not allowed to actually come in direct contact with people. So all these things are being taken care of, and obviously the parking, as I told you, is not functioning, and also the air conditioned ventilation is also being abided by the CPWD guidelines. And also digital transaction is being encouraged, and the food court is operating with 50% of people, or 1/3 of people. Elevators, escalators are not working, and in some places, in some malls, elevators are working with minimum number of people, and escalators have also got the cross sign on the escalator so that social distancing is being followed. So as you can see behind me, not many people are there inside the mall, and some shops are also shut, but I think this is just the first day. So after people get used to the new normal, there will be more people who will be flocking in the mall and wearing their masks and everything, taking out precautionary measures and coming in the mall.
Yes, Meghna, so the new normal would, because of the lack of air conditioning, is going to be some sort of a problem. Then there's 50% in the restaurants and in the food court. People usually go to those places, but the shops themselves are people who are used to shopping and have now not been around for 60 days looking to get their best products. Those people, I mean, if you look around you, are the salesmen like looking out for people and saying, come here? Is that sort of situation there?
Not really, Mark, but definitely there is, after, as we know, it's about more than 2 months' time that, malls and shops have opened like this. So obviously it is an important time for people also to go out and shop for themselves. But besides that, the retailers are also very considerate of the fact that this is the new normal and this is what they have to actually abide by, and this is the guidelines that they'll have to follow in the coming future. Also because there are not a number of people allowed inside the shops or inside the retail shops at a point of time. So the shopkeepers also, not only the mall management, but the shopkeepers are also ensuring that the sanitization is done properly, their staff is checked properly, the customers coming inside, there are not more than a few number of customers coming inside at the same time. Also there are some shops which have applied some rules on, trial of clothes and all of that. So as time passes by, we'll probably get to know what all SOPs are shops and retailers themselves following, besides the MHA guidelines, to ensure the safety of their staff as well as the customers as well.
Well, thanks very much, Meghna, for that experience that you've given us of the mall that you're in, and now everyone in Delhi is familiar with the protocol that is to be in place when you're visiting a mall. Thank you, Meghna, for that. Moving on to our next story then. National parks, malls, clubs and restaurants have been allowed with strict guidelines on day one of the lockdown, of the unlockdown in Rajasthan. Our correspondent Vishal Barrister brings us this ground report from a restaurant in Jaipur as it's unlocked.
This is day one of unlock in Rajasthan and I am inside our restaurant. There you can see all the arrangements have been made as far as sanitization is concerned. First, the customer has to sanitize himself without using his hands. He has to sanitize his hands first with the sanitizer. And there you can see these kind of barricading so that anybody does not come in direct contact with these mithai, though they are inside the glass cases, but still all precautions are being made, have been taken. They can see the staff, they are wearing gloves, they are wearing masks, and also they are having this headgear. And there is also one customer, he is also there with a mask. तमाम एहतियात बरत रहे हैं आप?
मैं तो खैर अपना सोशल डिस्टेंस मेंटेन कर रहा हूं और इन लोगों ने भी अच्छा प्रिकॉशन कर रखा है. आज का स्टेटस है देश का या वर्ल्ड का, उस हिसाब से हर आदमी को खुद ही अपनी सुरक्षा करनी होगी.
Now there you can see all precautions have been taken here. Now we'll go upstairs in the dining section and we'll see what kind of arrangements are being made as far as the restaurant is concerned. Let's go. I'm inside the dining section and there you can see the table is spread and I have two ladies. One is the owner of this restaurant. Let's talk to her.
This is the first day of opening and the thermal scanning is also done, and we are just allowing only 50% of staff and customers.
You can see the table is well spread and with all the precautions. The spoons, they are disposable, the glasses, the water bottle, the plates. So all precautions are being taken, and as you heard the owner, 50% staff is allowed and also 50% customer. With cameraman Hanuman, this is Vishal Barrister, DD News.
And the Ranthambore National Park opens to the public. First tourists to arrive in the park. Thermal screening of the tourists and sanitization of the vehicles are being done. And these are the visuals that we have got from there. The Indian Navy is undertaking Operation Samudra Setu to repatriate Indian citizens who are abroad. And the Indian naval ship Shardul has reached Iran to bring back Indians to Porbandar in Gujarat. In addition to the authorized medical outfit, medical equipment specific to dealing with COVID-19, including innovative products developed by the Indian Navy during the ongoing COVID-19 crisis, these are also being carried on board. And in view of the unique challenges associated with COVID-19, including asymptomatic carriers, stringent protocols are being stipulated during the passage. So the Indian naval ships Jalashwa and Magar, they are already evacuated. They've already evacuated 2,874 personnel. This is from the Maldives and Sri Lanka to the ports of Kochi and Tuticorin. Clinical trials of the plant-derived drug ACQH to treat COVID-19 patients has begun in India, and it has been hailed by CSIR as a historic day. Now, India's top regulator, the Drugs Controller General of India, the DGCI, has allowed Sun Pharmaceuticals to conduct clinical trials of the first phytopharmaceutical or plant-based drug AQCH to treat COVID-19 patients. So, according to this company, the clinical trials will be conducted across 12 centers in India on 210 patients. Speaking to Doordarshan News, the Director General of CSIR, Dr. Shekhar Mande, has said that the Mumbai-based Sun Pharmaceuticals has started the clinical trials of AQCH for COVID-19 after the plant-based drug, which was being developed for dengue, showed broad antiviral effects in its studies.
On 5th June, India made history in getting one of the phytopharmaceuticals into clinical trial. Phytopharmaceutical is a plant extract which is expected to have activity against a particular disease. The drug discovery concept that has evolved over the last 100 years is such that for each disease there is one cause, and that one cause can be suppressed by one single chemical entity, what we call as a drug or a medicine against that disease. This drug suppresses the cause of the disease and thereby alleviates the disease. Till date, no phytopharmaceutical has gone into clinical trials. On the 5th June, this has changed. A phytopharmaceutical called AQCH has been brought into clinical trial as a potential drug against COVID-19. This has been done by the Sun Pharma in collaboration with ICGEB Delhi and CSIR Indian Institute of Integrative Medicine, Jammu. It has also been supported by the Department of Biotechnology and CSIR together. We hope that with this, the history will now change.
An encounter between security forces and terrorists took place in Pinjora area of Shopian district of Jammu and Kashmir, in which 4 terrorists were killed by the security forces. The security forces were reported to be, the security forces had got information that the terrorists were hiding in that area, after which the police, army, 44RR and CRPF conducted a joint operation. They cordoned off the area and they started a search operation. When the joint team of security forces reached the suspicious spot, the terrorists who were hiding there began firing, and it's the second encounter, in fact, in Shopian in the last 24 hours. Yesterday, if we can recall, the security forces had killed 5 terrorists in an encounter. And speaking to the media, the Jammu and Kashmir DGP Dilbag Singh said that 9 terrorists of the Hizbul Mujahideen, 3 of whom are top-level commanders, have been killed in operations that were carried out in the last 24 hours.
Hizbul Mujahideen ke 9 आतंकी मारे जा चुके हैं, जिनमें 3 टॉप कमांडर लेवल के लोग हैं और जिनके नाम पे गुनाहों का चिट्ठा बहुत लंबा है। दर्जनों बेगुनाह लोगों का कत्ल, सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस और पुलिस के ऊपर हमले, लोगों को डराना, धमकाना, ज़बरदस्ती लोगों के घरों में घुसना, इस तरह की बहुत सारी इल्ज़ामात की फ़हरिस्त उनके ख़िलाफ़ है, जिसके चलते मैं जो समझता हूँ कि उस खित्ते में, ख़ासतौर पे साउथ कश्मीर में जहाँ पर जो ऑपरेशंस हुए हैं, लोगों को काफ़ी हद तक राहत मिलेगी।
He also added that in the last 2 weeks, 9 big operations were carried out, in which 22 terrorists have been eliminated, including 6 top commanders.
पिछले 2 हफ्ते के अंदर 9 बड़े ऑपरेशन हुए हैं, जिसमें 22 आतंकी मारे गए हैं, जिसमें 6 टॉप कमांडर हैं और ये 6 के 6 उस तरह के हैं जिनका जिक्र मैं कर चुका हूं, जिनकी गुनाहों की लिस्ट बहुत लंबी है। ये 22 आतंकियों का ख़त्म होना, जिसमें ज़्यादातर 18 लोग जो हैं वो साउथ कश्मीर के 3 ज़िलों से हैं, पुलवामा, कुलगाम, शोपियां और अवंतीपुरा का एक केस। ये समझ लीजिए कि 18 टेररिस्ट का उस एरिया से निकल जाना, ख़त्म हो जाना, लोगों के लिए बहुत बड़ी एक राहत की बात है।
According to data of the Johns Hopkins University, the global count of coronavirus cases has surged past 70 lakh, while the death toll has topped 4 lakhs. So the US is accounting for the highest number of infections and fatalities, 19.42 lakh confirmed cases in the United States and over 1 lakh deaths. However, New York State is all set to ease lockdown in a phased manner. Brazil comes in second with 6.91 lakh confirmed cases, followed by Russia with more than 4,67,000 cases. In Moscow, however, churchgoers attended their first Sunday services. Churches were reopened after almost 2 months of lockdown. People, while maintaining social distancing, offered prayers after the ease of lockdown measures. Russia has reported 8,984 new cases of the coronavirus in the last 24 hours, pushing the total number of infections to 4,67,073. While in Europe, the UK remains the worst affected country with 2.8 lakh COVID cases. Regarding fatalities, the UK continues in the second position after the US with more than 40,000 deaths, which also accounts for the highest fatalities in Europe. Other countries with over 10,000 deaths are Italy, Brazil, France, Spain and Mexico. However, Italy reported 53 new COVID cases, deaths on Sunday, against 72 a day earlier, and 197 new cases, down from 270 the day before. Denmark lifted the limit on public gatherings to 50 people from 10 as it relaxes measures to curb the spread of the coronavirus. The Ministry of Health has said so there. And on a positive note, New Zealand has no more active cases of COVID-19 in the country for the first time since February 28. And the Health Ministry said that the last person who was being monitored for coronavirus has now been released from isolation, and he's been symptom-free and is regarded as recovered. New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern said that transmission of the coronavirus has been eliminated and all containment measures except for border curbs will be lifted. In other updates, the thousands of people turned out for a new round of street protests in Washington, D.C. and other major cities in support of the African-American George Floyd, who was killed by the police. Now, the police had broke through the barricades, chasing protesters and making several arrests, while protesters lit garbage fires in the streets. The newly erected fence around the White House was decorated by protesters with signs, including some that read "Black Lives Matter" and "No Justice, No Peace." The National Guard troops were activated in several states to quell civil disturbances, which in turn provoked demonstrators even further. Meanwhile, many of the city curfews imposed after initial unrest have now been lifted with eased restrictions. The United Nations headquarters, which has closed since mid-March due to COVID-19 pandemic, is preparing to reopen in 3 phases. New workplace measures are being put in place for staff, diplomats and also journalists that will include maximum of 2 persons occupancy in elevators and wearing of masks in common areas. In the first phase, the maximum occupancy at the headquarters complex will be capped at 400 people a day as opposed to 4,200 limit in normal times. During phases 1 and 2, routine administrative or organizational face-to-face meetings will not be permitted. The UN said phase 3 will be a new normal and would take place when workplace risks are reduced to pre-pandemic levels. And with that, we conclude this bulletin. Thanks very much for being with us. Namaskar.